Thank you very much, Grace. Ha. I'm wondering, when I was listening to you, I was wondering, is it me they are talking about? Some of these things you know about me, I need to come and learn from you. Good evening, everyone. I just need to confirm that you can all hear me.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. So, I was informed that this session is going to be for young doctors, but I've seen some very senior doctors, so I don't know if I'm in the right meeting. I've seen some of my senior men in this meeting. I've seen one of my senior, very strong men on this meeting, Emmanuel Oyibo. Thank you very much for joining us. Just confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, sir. We can see it.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining. I also saw Muknan. I don't think he qualifies as a young doctor, but this evening I just want to share briefly with us on where is the time, a young doctor's key to a productive life. And I believe that this conversation is just to set the stage for us to have more conversation because I'm not really an expert of time management, but I have applied the time management principles. And I believe that as I set the stage for the conversation, we can have more robust discussion as we progress. So let's take this as an opportunity to set the stage for a robust communication. So our session objective is basically to equip early career physicians with the mindset and strategy necessary for achieving productivity without compromising well-being. You know, sometimes you can really put a lot of energy to get work done, but working hard does not mean that you are working very well. Some people work very hard, but not very smart. So some of the conversation here is see how we can improve our efficiency. So we'll be focusing on four main areas today. And I try to mix the slide, so they may not follow it just the way you are seeing it on our slide, but at the end of this session, we will check again to be sure that we've been able to touch the four areas on prioritization of tasks and managing time effectively, and strategy for work-life integration. And then we'll look at a few tools for productivity and task management, and then how to avoid burnout and mental fatigues. So these are some of the four things we would like to be able to touch in this our stage setting as we discuss this evening, and with other community discussions that we follow after. So as part of setting the stage, I will be asking some questions, and I would really appreciate if we can have people make a comment on the platform, on the chat. I just want to ask anybody who is a young doctor here who has never had any demand on his time, just say never had a demand on his time on the charts. I know when I was a young doctor, there were a lot of demand on my time. You know, you are like the first line of defense for work. If you've never had demand on your time, you can just type on the chat, never had demand on your time. But if you have had demand, you say, a lot of demand, frequently, usually, infrequently, you can just type on the chat. So I will know that I'm not speaking to people who have never had demands on their time. But I know very well that if you're a young doctor, the demand for your time is real. For example, I can imagine with the current challenge of very few house officers available in different teams, you could see that the demand for your time is really much. I have seen a particular duty roster of one hospital that was going on online, and I saw that there was just one house officer that was on call every day for almost 30 days. So you can see that as a young doctor, the demand for your time will be a lot. Beyond the demand for your time, I also want us to note that there's also this high expectation. You know, when you are a student in your final year, Your families were looking forward to you graduating. So when you graduated, people just expect that by the time you graduate, you have a lot of money coming in already. The expectations are high. In fact, when they invite you for community meetings, they expect you to come in powerfully, I know, and demonstrate that, yes, you are that very responsible person that the community has raised. So all of this places a lot of demand on your time. And then stress and workload can be complex. I put this comment here because what can be stressful for a person may not be stressful for the other person. So the work that Dr. A will do, and it will be very stressful for him, Dr. B may do it, and it may not be stressful for him. So stress and workload is complex, and it varies for individuals depending on their location and also their situation. And with the Japa syndrome, we know that the hustle is real. People are moving from different locations and points, and that is significantly reducing the number of workforce that is available to people. And I also believe also that that is also increasing the workload for everyone. Then CMD activities is testing your commitment. You know, I remember when we are students, there's this general beliefs that when you graduate and become a doctor, you don't have time anymore for fellowship activity. And you are probably one of those who have promised yourself that you will demonstrate that it's possible to serve God fully and not be distracted, even when you are a house officer, a junior doctor, or at any point of your training. So you will find out that CMD's activities will come. Brethren will be excited that you have passed the exam, you are now working as a house officer, or you are serving and they are inviting you to ministers in meetings, and all your works, they are just mumbling around because the tax, the demands are very, very high. You know, some other things that can also put pressure on young doctors could just be brethren discussing how unbelievable it is for you after doing calls for 3 days and then they don't see you in fellowship anymore and all of this. All of this is just to tell you that the demand for your time as a young doctor is huge, and it doesn't look like it's abating at any time soon because the Japa syndrome virtually complicates everything. So I put this here, and I really need us to time to also pick our pad again and type on the chat. Has any one of you ever used this phrase, where is the time? If you used it before, just type yes. If you've never used it before, just say never. I'd like to see your feedback on the chat. If you've ever used this phrase, where is the time? Just say yes. If you've never used it, say never. You know, and I can see a lot of yes popping up, which means at some point one or two of us have used, every one of us probably have used this phrase. So this particular phrase, where is the time, is so common, is a common phrase, a common statement, is also a response that we usually give, and usually follow three things. I noted down. It follows three things. Either when someone is making a recommendation, or when someone is making a suggestion, or when a task is being delegated to you. You know, you just be like, where is the time? Somebody will say, brethren, you need to visit people frequently, and you'll be like, where is the time? So I believe that this phrase, where is the time, is as frequently used as the phrase, how are you? You know, most times you see that phrase, how are you, is one phrase that has been used very, very frequently. So it's important for us to know that if you want to be very simple in your response to where is the time, then I can tell you that there is no time, because in fact, there's this radio program here in Abuja that says that there is no time to even check time. That's how pressing the need for time can be. So, but I want to place this picture. I don't know what you can see. If one person can maybe describe what he can see on this, what does this tell you? This slide, I got this slide from Professor Chima when he made a presentation during the conference the West African Conference in Liberia. And I really, really like this particular slide. So just tell me what this slide tells you. This slide you are seeing, what does it say? What does it depict to you? Just type on the box on the chat. But just like Grace said, I like involvement and engagement. So I will really need people to be on their keypad. I don't want people to be online, and we are not really having them being participants here. So just on looking on this slide, what does it tell you? Just post on the chat. You see like an army general is ready to go to war, and then right behind him is two of his lieutenants who are trying to introduce him to a salesman who wants to sell a machine gun for him. Yes, so somebody posted here, a man used to his old methods. So it's very, very important to know that sometimes in the wake of saying you don't want to waste time, sometimes you want to stick with a system that you are very familiar with, even if the system is not being productive, you want to stick with it. You say, this is tested and trusted. And you can even quote that David said he will stay with the one that is tested and trusted. But as time changes and things evolve, it is important for us to know that time is not wasted if it is used to design a strategy for you to be better. Time is only wasted when you are going for a strategy which is actually not formidable. So sometimes waste of time is not because you are probably not doing the right thing, but probably because your strategy may not be the most appropriate. So I want to just mention a few interesting facts about time that I believe every one of us here know, because if you have gone through medical school, then you must know how to manage time one way or the other. But today is just to stimulate some conversation. So one of the interesting things about time is that time is a continuous progression of existence that occur in an apparently irreversible succession. And note, I highlighted those two important phrases within that definition, is that it is a continuous progression and it is irreversible succession. So it is continuous. Today was yesterday's tomorrow, and then tomorrow is going to be the present by the time we get there, and then today will become the past. So it's a progression from the past through the present and into the future. Another important thing about time is that it's the only resource that everyone is given equally. Whether you are rich or poor, you are young or old, you are short or tall, you are white or colored, you are in Nigeria or in the UK, in the diaspora, wherever you are, time is the same. Everybody has 60 minutes in an hour and then 24 hours in a day. Nobody has it more. Then another important thing, and I want us to take note of this third point that I'm mentioning here, that time has value. And I put a question there, but who ascribes the value to time? So time has value. For example, if I'm going to make a presentation, there are places I will make presentation, and an hour presentation can earn me maybe 2,000 US dollars. The same somebody else can make a presentation for 1 hour and maybe earn 500. So what ascribes value to time? So it's something I want you to think about, and I will come back to it, as in the quality of preparation, the capacity you build over time can actually ascribe value to your time, so much that you can work for 1 hour and you can make up for somebody working for maybe 6 or even six days or even 10 days, because of the value of the quality you have put into yourself. So it's important to know that time has value, and you are the one that can ascribe the value that your time can have. Then, interestingly also, time cannot be stored. It's not like you want to store grain and then sell after some period. You can't store time. The fact that you don't use it does not mean you can store it. You can't preserve it for use later, and you can't suspend time for use when you think is important in your own perspective. So it's important to note that time cannot be stored. The last point there is that your use of time will determine your socioeconomic status, and I want you to take note of that. And I want to read the scripture. Proverbs 22 verse 2 says, it says, the rich and the poor meet together. The Lord is the maker of them all. Other translation will tell you that the rich and the poor, the Lord made them both. I want you to take note. If you have your own Bible, you can check it and check the translation. You will not see any translation that say it is the Lord that made them so. If someone is poor, someone is rich, it is not the Lord that made them so. It is their use of time. Okay, thank you. I wanted to be sure. So Proverbs 22 verse 2 says, the rich and the poor, it is the Lord that made them both, not made them so. So your use of time can determine your socioeconomic status. Your use of time can determine whether you are poor or rich. Your use of time can determine whether you are just a medical professional or you can graduate through time to become an investor, a philanthropist, or even an innovator. It's important to know that the use of time is going to significantly influence your socioeconomic status. So that's why I think we should pay attention to some of the things we are raising during this conversation. So you can't save time, you can't store it, you can't prevent the use of, you can't preserve it for when you need it. So I mentioned here that you can't tame time, you can only team it up. So you can track the use of your time, you can evaluate it, you can either assign time or allocate it to a specific task, you can manage time, you can estimate time to get tasks done, you can dedicate time, like you can dedicate 6 a.m., 5 a.m. to morning devotions and all of that. That is what you can do with time, but you cannot tame time, you cannot arrest it, you cannot keep it to use whenever you want, because time is what? Is a continuous progression with irreversible succession. So it's important for us to take note of this. So I just mentioned that you can form a team with time, but you can't tame it. So it's very, very important. And if we cannot save or store time, then there's a need for us to find a strategy for how we can use time. So I like to talk about the place of strategy, because if you look at our four-pronged objective, we're looking at strategies for work-life integration. So where is the place of strategy? First, what is strategy? And permit me for making the slide a bit simple so that anyone, no matter their level of engagement, if they look at it, they should be able to have a clear understanding. Strategy is a plan of action designed to achieve a long-term goal or an overall aim. So strategy is the plan you put in place. And we know the regular saying that says, if you do not plan, failure to plan is already planning to fail. So most times, strategy is required as a plan of action. But it's important to mention that people can have strategy, but if those strategies do not have specific activities of what should be done, when they will be done, how they will be done, I can assure you that your strategy will still not succeed. In the public health space, when you develop a strategic document, there are four important things you consider when you are shaping your document. You look at your goal, you look at your objective, you look at your strategy, and then the activities that help you to achieve it. If your activities are done very well, your strategy will work. If your strategy works, you achieve your objective. If your objectives are achieved, then you can attain your goals. So it's important to know that strategy is very, very important. And because time is not enough, then strategy is required to maximize it. So I like to mention something about work-life integration. And I'm mentioning this because there are people who think that their work life and their work and their life are two different entities and should be managed separately. When we were in school, there's this concept of work-life balance, but those concepts are no longer the concept being promoted now. We're talking about work-life integration. And I will explain a few concepts as we go. For example, a work-life integration. Work-life integration is a concept that emphasizes the interconnectedness of work and personal life, aiming to blend the two rather than keeping them separate. Because if you are a public speaker and then you also have a family, you have to integrate public speaking and family management. There are parents that have to take their children to school in the morning and also get to office. You have to integrate taking your children to school to you going to the office. In that way, it's not like, oh, let me set to the family, then I will not set to office. No, those concepts are no longer the concept being promoted. So we look more on work-life integration rather than work-life balance. And both concepts aim to improve your well-being. They actually want your life to be better. It just is the approach that differs. So it's always important for us to look at this different approach, which one actually improves things for you better. And like I said, work-life balance implies a strict separation between work and the personal life. And work-life integration, please, can someone confirm they can still hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. My network is not very stable, so I just need to be sure that I'm not speaking to myself. The work-life integration is, on the other hand, is acknowledging the overlap and the interdependence of the two. Your work life and your life, they must be together. And this work-life integration speaks so much to the concept of workplace ministry, because you cannot go to your office and while you're in the office there, it's okay, let's keep church somewhere, let's keep Christianity somewhere, let's do the work. And when we are done, no, you carry your whole life there. You just make sure you shine the light well. And when you shine the light, people will ask you a question, why do you do things the way you do them? And then you begin to share. So work-life integration allows us to live the life of a Christian, the life of a Christian doctor, while we are even in our workplace. What are the key characteristics of a work-life integration? Is the fact that it hinges a lot on flexibility. With the emergence of COVID, a lot of work-life integrations have work-life integration has happened across different offices. You can ask Dr. Mukna here. He does a lot of his meetings online. There are a lot of engagement that can be done. Staffs have more flexible work hours. There's a lot of concern about people's mental health. So the ability to adjust schedules to accommodate personal needs rather than it was in those days. Those days, there's more interest around. You are clocking in, you are checking when did you arrive, when did you leave. Like you go to some ministries today, you still see offices that they have time when you check in and you check out. But that does not guarantee that people are actually productive. So in work-life integration, you want to be, there's a lot of flexibility that is provided. And then you look more on blending rather than balancing. You don't want to just say, okay, you do your work and then you keep your life separate. No, you look more on balancing between them, such a way that there's a lot of integration. There are offices, like my previous office in Breakthrough Action Nigeria. That office created a space where parents can keep their children. They also created like a creche. They even created a sleeping room where you need to go and sleep. If you need to sleep, rest your brain before you come back and continue to work. So it's important to take note of that. That's one of the characteristics of a work-life integration. Then the approach is holistic, which means work-life integration considers the whole person, their needs, it recognizes their personal well-being, the impact it has on their professional performance. And when they are in their best, they're able to deliver for any organization. So it's important for us to take note that when you are able to integrate your work and your life very well, it improves your performance. However, it's important to mention that work-life integration, it's not something that one size fits all. It has to have an individualized approach. What works for one may not work for the other. So what works for Mr. A may not work for Mr. B. So it's important to have that specificity going. But the most important thing is that it focuses on effectiveness rather than just being physically present. So it's important for us to take note of this as we go into some of the conversation on time management. I'm laying this foundation because I'm setting the stage for the discussion maybe in the next two slides. What are the immediate benefits of a work-life integration? It reduces stress, which is one of the things we are talking about, avoiding mental burnout as well as mental fatigue. It improves productivity. Aside this, one of the things that a work-life integration will do for people is it improves their involvement, their participation, and engagement. You know, in the past, we talk about participation. People can participate without being involved. People can participate without being engaged. They just come, stand, but there's no participation in any way. But in this meeting already, I've already engaged us in a way. We have some level of participation. You know, when we say people should type one or two things on the chat, not everybody typed. So there are a lot of people who are probably here who are just watching, but they have not yet engaged. But maybe when we get to the discussion session, they are going to maybe speak more. So work-life integration improves involvement, participation, and engagement. It also increases satisfaction because you will feel satisfied, like the kind of space we work in a public health space where you may not be able to preach the gospel very well, but you can demonstrate the virtue of being a Christian in such a way that people say, well, how did you get this, how did you build this capacity? And say, yes, it's because of this that brought me here, and this is my personal beliefs. And before you know it, you are there controlling some things. I know a few people who, by virtue of just being in a position, they were able to institute what is the will of God concerning that office. So what are the strategies for you to enhance work-life integration? So these are the two strategies that I want us to look at today. It's task prioritization and management, as well as time management. So the two of them, they are kind of interwoven, so they virtually work hand in hand. But, excuse me, I want to ask a question. Why do people waste time? Can we just type quickly again? Let me be sure that people are still with me. Can you just give one or two reasons why people waste time? You know, people do things, they have wasted time. Some people even come out to acknowledge the fact that they have wasted time. One or two reasons why, yes, I see one, say procrastination. Some are confused, they don't know what to do, lack of value for time, indecision, laziness, no focus, distraction, sleep. You know, there are several reasons. Thank you very much, and keep it coming. So there are several reasons why people waste time. And I want to just mention that a few of them. Limited understanding of the value of time. I mentioned earlier that value for time is determined by you. There's a kind of value you place on yourself, a kind of skill you acquire, and when they're inviting you to speak anywhere, you will see that just your 1 hour speech can be worth more than maybe someone is working for a month because of the quality you have put into your preparation for your time. Also, I see somebody mention perfectionism. Sometimes it can really make people not to deliver. Yes. So lack of vision for time. If you don't have a clear vision for your time, you will waste it. You know, you can enter the university, you don't know whether you want to graduate in 6 years, and if you don't have that clear vision, you can really waste time. Like I met someone in the university 8 years after he got there, he was studying a 4-year course. He said that he did not just come to graduate, he came to acquire knowledge. So after 8 years for a 4-year course, he's still acquiring knowledge. I don't know. For somebody like that, because of lack of vision for time, he's probably not going to achieve his goal. Then there's a weak drive to achieving life's goal. You know, when we graduate, people are excited. There's a lot of excitement. You just want to be a doctor going, but you don't have a clarity of where you want to go. And because of that, you don't even know how you will drive yourself to achieve your goal. But I spoke with someone who, in his plan, he knew that he wanted to get to the top of his career, and he immediately knew that during house job, he needs to write primaries. He needs to go through the education, went, did his master's, did his PhD, did residency, went on to be a professor, and he's an authority in his field currently. So if you know why your life's goal and you have a strong drive for it, you will be able to work and make and not waste time. But people who have very weak drive for their life goal, they waste time. They just I'll try it, it didn't work, okay, I'll do it again. Some is resignation to fate. This thing doesn't look like it will work. It's my fate not to succeed. But I don't believe it's anybody's fate. Laziness, like somebody mentioned earlier, and I also see that a lack of purpose was also mentioned. You know, other reasons why people waste time, they believe in this funny law, say Murphy's Law. I don't even know how this law was promulgated. It's a humorous adage that states anything that can go wrong will go wrong. But you know, luck, some people will just mention things like this person is lucky, this one is this, but then luck is laboring under correct knowledge, which means if you have the right knowledge, the right strategy, then even things was meant to go wrong, you can make them go right. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Then there are these assumptions that some people are talented, so because they are talented, they're able to do some things much easier, but it's because they had strategy, they had plans. And some people even say things like, this is who I am. In my family, we are like this. We don't do this, or we procrastinate. We don't take time. We work on like this. All these kind of things you hear people say, it makes them to waste time. So when things are not going right, instead of reappraising themselves and looking at where they are going, they're like, oh, it's just that's me. But I can assure you that that's not God's plans for us. So I brought us back to this slide again, just to know that sometimes looking back to plan your strategy is not a waste of time. Rather, it's about you finding newer ways to fighting your battle. So in tax management, I want to mention that tax prioritization is a process of organizing and ranking tasks based on their importance and urgency. Two words I want us to remember here is the importance and the urgency. If you really want to prioritize your tasks, you want to manage your time, you need to prioritize tasks. You see, you can get phone calls from people and those phone calls will not do anything. You can be visiting people and those visits are not strategic because in the long run, it will tire you out. Even Jesus had to find time to go and pray. He prioritized prayer to be able to, for greater efficiency. So anyone who is not able to define what is important and what is urgent, then they are not able to prioritize their tasks very well. So one of the good tools you can use for prioritization is what we call the prioritization matrix. It is a visual tool that helps organize and rank tasks, either projects or initiatives based on the defined criteria, and it improves your productivity. It usually uses criteria like importance and urgency, and I'm going to show us an example of one very soon. So it allows you or your team, wherever you are working, to focus on the most impactful work. All the work is good, but not all of them are expedient. And the ability to know which is expedient is a skill. So what are the benefits of making sure that you prioritize your tasks using a prioritization matrix? It improves your focus, it increases your productivity, and it improves your time management, it reduces stress and enhances your decision making. In fact, the last part is the one I want people to take note of. It provides a clear framework for decision making. You know what to do and what not to do, when to do them and when not to do them. And if you can't get to that point where you can say no to some things, then you are not really ready to manage time effectively. In fact, one of the greatest assets you can have for in time management is the ability to say no when someone continues to give you tasks. So if you can look at this prioritization matrix that I put here, and I'm sure many of us have seen it before. I use this color code to show the green to just show you these are the urgent things. They're important and they're urgent. So these are things you want to do immediately. You're a house officer. You know that tomorrow you need to collect sample and it's dependent on tomorrow. It is not just only important, it is urgent. You know where to classify this. Then you want to write primaries, you want to write a PLAB or any of these exams. It's also important, but it's not time bound. The deadline is not tomorrow. You know where to put that task. You schedule a time for this to happen. Then while you are doing all of this, if you have someone, maybe you don't need skill. Some of the skills you may not need, like washing clothes and all of that. You just find someone that you can delegate these tasks to them and they get it done. Those things are urgent because you will need those clothes to go to work, but it's not that important. And because skill is not required, you may be able to delegate that to someone else. And then the ones that are neither important or the ones that are like distractions and unnecessary tasks. For example, somebody is telling you to go and watch a football match. It is okay if you're a football fan that you must be there, but if those things do not contribute to efficiency in a tight schedule, those are the things you should quickly delete. Sometimes even Facebook time, when we're in school, they say face your book. These days is Facebook now. People spend a lot of time on Facebook and they don't have time to face their book. So using this matrix helps you to prioritize tasks that you can do. And I'm happy for us to ask, maybe based on your specific conditions, how do we prioritize them? If you want to list some activities, we can work with you to design how to prioritize them. So if you do proper prioritization, then we can now talk about time management. Time management is a process of planning and organizing how to divide your time between specific objectives. For example, if you are going to collect sample in the morning as a house officer or maybe as a junior doctor, you need to plan your time. You need to organize it. Okay, I'll be in this ward. These are the total number of samples I need to collect. You should be able to calculate it. So when you go there, you collect everything at once and you move. Not you go, you collect first patient, you move to another ward 2 kilometers away. Then I remember, you come back. Then you will not be managing your time very well. Another thing is effective time management allows you to prioritize tasks, like I already mentioned. It helps you to meet deadline and you can balance commitment such a way that your personal, professional, and social life will be well balanced. Please, can someone confirm they can still see my slide?
Yes, sir, we can see your slide.
Okay, thank you very much. So the foundation for time management is based on 4 things, and I want us to take note of this. Clarity of vision and purpose. If your purpose is, this is what I want to achieve, then you can manage time. But if you don't have anything you want to achieve, then you can use time anyhow you want, because that time will never be wasted, because there's no purpose, no clear vision for that time. If your purpose is after graduation, 10 years after graduation, I want to be an expert in this area, then you can begin to assign tasks to what you need to do and all of that. Then you have to define what are your core values. Me, when I was growing up, I grew up, I met my father. He's very time conscious. His value for time is so great. I picked time management from him. If he has a meeting with you by 12 o'clock, by 11:55, he's already waiting around. By 12, he's right there. That's not when he's leaving his environment to meet with you. And if after 15 minutes he's there, he doesn't meet you, then he closes, he moves forward, because if he values his time, he expects you to also value his time. So if you want to manage time very well, you have to have core values. There are people who can give you reasons why they can't get some things done. They'll just, I'm tired and all of that. You are tired, yes. But if you have made a promise to be able to do something at a particular time, if you have that as a core value, then you must respect the fact that if you made a promise to someone, then you have to get it done and find time for you to be able to rest. And then the principle of discipline, because if you have defined your core value, you have a clear vision, then you must be disciplined and maintain consistency. You can be doing great sometimes, but if you are not consistent, then your results may not be able to show over a long period of time. Excuse me. Then the final thing is focus on the results. Here I took an example of Jesus Christ. The Bible said in Hebrews 12 verse 2, he said, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross. One of the things that can make you manage your time very well if you're looking at the results. You remember when David went to fight Goliath, when he came to the battle, when people are talking about the giant, he was talking about the reward. If your focus is on the result, the reward that is before you, you will be able to manage time even better. So time management, if you have these 4 foundations, then you will be able to manage time because there's clarity in your head, and whatever you are doing, there's a lot of clarity in what you do. So I try to itemize a few things here, examples of time management tools, which I know that we must have seen, used, or at some point passed it. One is a matrix, which I already mentioned. You can use it to organize your work. Your calendar, you know, sometimes people say they don't have a software for this. Just go to your calendar, mark a time, put a task there. You can open your calendar and it can tell you all the tasks that is pending before you. You can help you to organize your work. In an event where you don't like using a calendar, you can have a to-do list. This is what I do very frequently. I have a jotter, and every evening before the next day, I itemize all the things I need to do before the next day. And by the time I do them, I check them off my list. If I've not checked all of them off my list, then you are not likely to catch me doing anything that is not within my to-do list. Then the time tracker. Some people you can use time tracker. When I was working as a UN volunteer, we use what we call project management. We use Asana. Asana is like a software, a project management software where you can assign tasks to different persons, and there are people who can supervise you. You have a task to do, your supervisor can know the time you are supposed to deliver on it. And if that time is exceeded, your supervisor gets an information and he quickly reminds you and say, where are we on this task? So for organizations, they can use that. So I had a supervisor in Geneva, and he could monitor my job, my work, real time. In this Asana, you can assign the total cost of time and the money that your work can produce. So it's a very useful tool for an organization, but maybe not easily used by individuals. But if you work in a group, you can use it. I think there's a free version of Asana that can be used. Then you can use time blocking. You go to your calendar, you block time. If you have, okay, these are specific things I want to do, you block the time. And when someone says, can we have lunch by so time, you look at your calendar and you now tell yourself, okay, I have something planned for that time. I will not be available. Can we look at another time? And you have all of those conversations. These are examples of tools that you can use to improve your time management. And they may look very simple, but they can be very, very efficient. But the challenge is, if you don't use them, then if you fail to prioritize and manage your time well, it will lead to burnout or maybe mental fatigue. And these are not things you want to do. And like I mentioned earlier, one of the focus of this session is also to see that we learn strategies. And one strategy to avoid burnout is task prioritization. So you know what to delete, what to schedule, what to delegate, and what you must do yourself. But if you don't prioritize well, you don't manage your time, then it can lead to burnout. And what is burnout? Maybe I just mentioned briefly that burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged and excessive stress, often originating from work-related or other chronic stressors. Stressor is anything that is continually causing you stress. So the difference between burnout and stress is that stress can be a contributing factor to burnout, but stress is usually temporal to a specific event, while burnout can be a chronic state. You will just be there, you know, you are just moving, but you don't even know how you are moving because you are actually not in control anymore. And one of the major impact of burnout is it doesn't allow you to be very, very efficient. I mentioned here that If you are burned out, it will reduce your performance. You start making more mistakes. Your productivity reduces. You can become even more absent from your job. Sometimes it becomes difficult to concentrate. It can also lead to mental or physical health challenges. You can have more anxiety, depression. Just remember, oh, I have to collect this number of samples, and you are stressed already. It can also cause strain on relationship. You start seeing people focusing on the negative, on people, this person is no longer there, and then they blame everybody for everything. So it's important for you to know that if you manage your time very well, you're most likely not to get burnout. And if you don't get burnout, you're going to be more efficient. And but should you at any point in the course of your work begin to experience burnout, I just put this last slide here, excuse me, to see how you can quickly address burnout if it happens. And I say if it happens, it shouldn't be happening if you manage your time or you prioritize your tasks very well. But if it does happen, then you have to look at your options. First, you have to talk with your boss. If you're working under someone, you should be able to talk. I think there's an increasing awareness around mental health support globally. So it's important that you should be able to speak to your boss. Even in the medical setting where it's civilian barracks, I think you can speak to them. And if they don't respond, you can also escalate as well. A lot has to be done to support people's mental health. Then you can also seek support from your co-worker, friends, or even loved ones. Sometimes you can ask colleagues who are organizing their work, they can support you. They can help you take some of the tasks you are doing and help you to even plan better. But you should be striving to improve the quality of your own planning as well. And then you try relaxing activities. So sometimes it's just like the picture of the man that does not want to listen to a salesman. If you refuse to relax, you will continue to build your stress. Your stress will lead to sustained burnout, and your efficiency is not really there. So sometimes you just take that time and rest. When you say, where is the time? That time that there's no time is the time you take some time out to be able to rest. So you can do some exercise. So you can walk around. Those you're walking around, use it as your exercise time. You can use it. You can count your steps so you can see it and say, yes, even if I'm not meeting all the tasks for my day, at least I'm meeting my target of number of steps I take per day. And when you go home to sleep, sleep. Don't allow people's WhatsApp to wake you up. You can close your phone. The world will not suspend because you are not checking your WhatsApp. And it's important to practice mindfulness. And it's also important to pray. So when you read the Bible and the Bible says, Selah, it's saying be mindful. Think about this thing. And the Bible says that for the joy that was set before him, what does it mean? You spend time and be mindful. Take your mind off all the other things that have been causing you all the stress so that you'll be able to rest. As I round up, because we're doing time management, so we shouldn't take people's time too much. We want to quickly look again if we've been able to look at our objective that we set out. If we have achieved it, we set out to be able to look at prioritizing tasks and managing time effectively. And I think I mentioned that briefly, but I'm happy to receive questions and we can discuss this even in greater details. Then strategy for work-life integration, which I suggested that task prioritization and management, as well as time management, will be an excellent strategy for work-life integration. I mentioned some of the benefits of work-life integrations and then some of the characteristics of work-life integration. I mentioned also some tools for productivity and time management. Talked about the prioritization matrix, as well as your to-do list or your calendar or any of those tools that you could use. And then how do you avoid burnout? If you apply your strategy for work-life integration, then you are likely to avoid burnout. But in an event where any of these has happened, then it's important for you to seek help, which is what we mentioned briefly. So thank you very much for listening. I'm happy to take questions and we can now have our conversation from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation. We definitely learned a lot of things I did, sir. Thank you so much. While we await more questions, sir, I would like to ask, in the routine medical setting where we find ourselves,
Yeah.
for example, I am a house officer, how can we manage our schedules when a lot of things can be very unpredictable? For example, you may have already planned your day that, oh, this is how my day is going to go based off on maybe my unit activities for the day. And then the day starts out and it goes in a way that was definitely not like you planned. You could get um, a lot of interruptions and all that. So, what strategies can we put in place to combat the unpredictability of our work, especially as doctors that are very low on the cadre? Thank you, sir.
Okay, so thank you very much. Usually, some of the guidance we give to people when you do your prioritization matrix, you should not have more than 10 activities in each of the boxes. So if you are going to prioritize things that you're going to do, you shouldn't have more than 10, which means you allow room for some changes. And like I mentioned, if you triangulate it based on importance and urgency, you will find out that there may be some things you need to do at the end of the day. The moment you now have a task that needs to be done much earlier, it moves higher up on the prioritization. And I mentioned that prioritization is ranking the activities based on the need. So there is a limit to what, no matter how your day goes, even the person giving you the task, we know that, okay, you are supposed to do this and I need you to retax to this. Is good to keep track. One of the things I tell young people, and which I do personally, is if I know that things are changing quickly, I try to communicate to the person who is changing my task. I said I was supposed to do this at this time, but because of this is not happening, and I document it in my notes, because sometimes you forget the reason why you didn't get that task done, and when they're asking, you are not able to speak to it. So it's important to have a small book that captures the main things you need to do in the day, and then all those add-ons, you identify them and the things that they will potentially impact, and then it gives you reasons for you to reflect again. But when you plan your day, don't overstuff it with too much activity that you don't have room for emergencies, because emergencies will arise, things will come in, you will receive one phone call that will require you to spend some, maybe 5, 10, 20 minutes to cancel somebody in the midst of your so busy responsibility. So it's important to make some of those allowances. And whether you are, whatever level where you are, I believe that sometimes in your communication and engagement with your superiors, it helps you to be able to communicate the challenge that's in your hand. So that's another skill that you have to build if task changes quickly within your team. I don't know if that addresses it, but I think I have a lot of people to help also respond, especially those who are working within the clinical settings. I work in a public health space where we are encouraged, in fact, you are mandated to be able to speak. You are not expected to be subjugated as if you don't have a voice, no matter how low you are, because respect for persons as well as diversity is something that we promote within that space. So, but I'm happy for those who are in the clinical setting, senior colleagues who are here, to be able to also maybe suggest how these younger colleagues can also manage that time, especially when emergencies are popping in quickly. Thank you. I don't know if I provided some information into this, but I'm open for others to make contributions.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I see there's a question here. How does knowledge help someone manage time and tasks better? You already know that knowledge always improves your advantage. If you know something, if you know what you want to do, then you are almost halfway there. Because there can be times where people, like someone mentioned, why do people waste time? They are just confused. They don't know what to do. To know what to do is already like you're halfway. Then the next thing is probably, how do I get this thing done? So knowledge can really help someone manage tasks and time better. So the more the knowledge, the better. In fact, your knowledge can help you in your prioritization of tasks. You'll be able to decide what is really the most important, even among the important things. So not everybody is able to say, okay, this is the most pressing important thing, even among the important things. So you don't grade them properly, and if you don't grade them, you don't assign them for implementation. Just to mention that it is possible. Your knowledge will significantly improve how you manage time and how you manage your tasks. I can't see any question on the chat, but I'm happy to take. And I'm happy for people to provide their feedback. Please, if your hand is raised and I don't see you, please just go ahead and unmute and speak.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you very much.
Lisa, are you hearing me?
I can hear you clearly.
Thank you for your lecture. This is my first time of joining this group, and I'm already wondering how much I've missed in the past. I don't know. I don't know when this was started and how much has been going on in the past. Maybe in future I'll get to have those discussions. Thank you very much for your very insightful teaching. Please, can you throw more light on this time tracker, using it as a tool, and be more practical about it? And then second question is about practicing mindfulness. What does it really entail? Do things like yoga, meditation, and all those kind of stuff come in when we are talking about practicing mindfulness? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So concerning when this Starting Strong started, I think Grace will be the one to speak to that. I think Starting Strong has been on for a long time. I think this is the second phase. Starting Strong had done first phase, and then this is like the second phase. So there's a lot,
Yes,
but
sir.
there are recordings for them, and I'm sure they will be able to share. And like you said about mindfulness, yes, mindfulness include, you can do yoga, you can do meditations. In fact, some people just go do bed watching. You just make sure you take yourself off the regular things you do. But you know, sometimes you could be away from the regular things you do, but your mind is there. So you have to deliberately take your mind from work and focus. Like me as a person, if I am expected to write a proposal and submit immediately, I will need to practice that level of mindfulness where my mind is totally off the initial work I did to be able to prepare me to be able to review the initial work I did. So there's a lot that can go into mindfulness. You can do meditation. Some people, they hold their breath, they take a deep breath, they count, they do different things. There are a lot of psychologists, psychiatrists, they've been teaching people a lot around mindfulness. I'm not an expert there, but there's a lot that can be done. And sometimes meditation can actually get you there. Because like today I was meditating when the Bible, Jesus was teaching them how to pray. He said that thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. And I was wondering, earth, thy will be done in earth. And man was made out of the dust of the earth. So God wants his will to be done in man as it is in heaven. So, you know, you can spend your time thinking about things like this, and it really, really takes you off the stress of work. And by the time you come out, you may feel more refreshed. So concerning time tracker, if you use a time tracker, it's important. In time tracker is you assign time to task. It's not just saying I have 10 things to do, but this tasks you have for the day, you assign time to them. So that way you are specific. This task is supposed to take 5 minutes. If it's not taking you 30 minutes, you know that you're already lagging behind in other times that you have. So beyond just assigning that I have 10 tasks, you put your to-do list, 10 things, you can assign tasks, specific time to all of this, and you can track it. And then part of also your time tracking is your ability to look at how much of this time did I put in productive work, how many of them were wasted, either maybe moving from one point to the other. You can be able to estimate all of that. That way you can analyze your day and be able to say, okay, out of my 24 hours, 8 hours went to sleep for sleeping, which is great. 4 hours went to making calls. You want to ask yourself, is that your intended goal for the day? 3 hours went to productive sample collection, this. By the end of the day, you do an evaluation. And like I mentioned, you can only team time. You cannot team it. So you can evaluate and track your use of it. That way you can plan better. You can now say, it can help you to estimate better the next day. You can say, okay, today I thought I could get this letter referral notes within 30 minutes, but I realized 30 minutes is not sufficient because of maybe the point you need to go to. You can assign more time to it. And by then you assign more time, provide some allowances because of emergency. Because the first question I was asked is, when there's an emergency, it can really distort your plan. But if you had assigned time to them, then it's important for you to now be able to find, where can I save time? Because you already know that, okay, this task, I've already assigned all my time to so many things. Where can I find additional time? So that's where sometimes you see people as they say, where is the time? Where will I find time? You know, people use statements like, I will find time and come and see you, because the time has been fully ascribed to things. That's one of the ways you can use time tracker to manage your tasks for the day. I don't know if I am able to provide some useful
Thank you
information.
very much, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I see some people are providing some very important information on the platform. So thank you. Concerning yoga exercise for mindfulness, I might be wrong. I think it has some spiritual origin. Do you suggest yoga for a believer? And what I understand about yoga is, if you're able to get your mind to the point where you are not thinking about it, there are specific things you want to shut your mind from. So that's what my understanding of yoga is. It's not like myself, I practice yoga, but those who know yoga, the origin and all of that, then probably we wouldn't recommend it for believers. I practice mindfulness in such a way where you can ask your mind to be still. You can focus on something very specific from the work-related things, and you spend your time thinking on those things. You can now return your mind to work. Sometimes you find yourself struggling to take your mind off work, because as you are trying to focus on something else, you see your mind drifting back to work. Then you remind yourself that, no, that's not what I want to focus at this time. So it is important to be able to have that level of focus and mind control. So I see another person suggested that yoga is not for believers, which is great. I don't know the origin. I've not practiced it myself directly, but it's mindfulness that I mentioned is something that can help you to focus. Somebody suggested that prayer work is both physical and spiritual. So it's something that one can also do to keep their mind away from work that is probably stressing them. Thank you all for all the suggestions that are coming in. I'm happy for you to keep sending them in.
Thank you very much, sir. So we have one more question that you probably missed up there. The person says, please, can you share, good evening, sir. Please, can you share on how to apply time blocking and to what extent it can be applied?
Okay, time blocking. So, excuse me. If you have a calendar, like my work, we work on, we use Outlook. And because we use Outlook, if you already have a scheduled meeting, that meeting is able to block your time. If someone else is trying to invite you for a meeting or something, it already tells the person that this person is not available, you know, and all of that. So it tells people, but usually within the same workspace. It reminds you, okay, you want to fix a meeting and you are not meeting me directly and you want to reach out. But the moment I've already put an activity in my calendar, I've actually blocked it, and you're trying to bring me to another meeting, it will remind you that this person is not available for this kind of time. It allows you to really manage your time much, much better. There may be other a platform that is used for time blocking, but basically these are some of the ones that I am very, very familiar with, which are the ones I have shared here. If you use those time blockers, you know that this time you've already blocked it, you're going to focus for a specific task, then you don't want to accept any role for that particular time. It may not be practicable within a working system, maybe in a hospital and all of that, but in the kind of space where we work, it's something that you could really use. And someone can invite you for something and you can tell them that you're not available at this time, likely because you already have a specific task at this time. Let me mention that I mentioned that one of the most important things you will need in time management is the ability to say no, even to the finest of reasons. You know, sometimes the things that take so much of your time may not be the one that are really the official things. Some non-official things can place a demand. Some of them can emotionally blackmail you, but you should be able to say, I'm saying no to this for this reason, and be able to explain to the person politely so that you too can conserve your own mental health. Yes, I see a hand up. So the hand has only numbers. So 568252. Yeah, I see your hand is up.
Okay, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, sir, this is Livino, sir. I didn't know that my device is numbered.
Okay. Good
Yes,
evening, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for the value and for the light you've been shedding. My question is concerning time tracking. Let's assume you have some tasks you want to complete and you have time set for those things. And once it is time, you close up and you go to the next. And sometimes you end up maybe in a day feeling like unfulfilled because of some of those tasks you didn't get to finish, and it's like you are taking them over and over and over. So I don't know how do one really balance, because most times you are tempted to, okay, no, I need to really achieve this thing, I need to finish this thing up today, and some of those things. So but how do one really balance trying to meet up with achievements, and also concerning consistency? For instance, now maybe I have this practice of I must make a post, maybe something, and while preparing for it, maybe it's dragging and I'm trying to meet up with time, and I still want to make the post, and at the same time I have other things to do. I don't know if you understand and where I'm driving at, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
I think let me say that to some extent I comprehend what you are trying to say. When you already define tasks for yourself that you need to do as part of your desire for efficiency and all of that, and then you assign times and all of it. So the important part of it is that when you do your task prioritization, there is a reason it's called prioritization. It is prioritization because there are many more things that you can do or should do, but among them, you rank them. So it is in the place of ranking that you decide which one takes more precedence over the other, and you assign time to them. So there are other things that are equally important, but you may not ascribe the same time to them, or you find another time to allocate to them. And like I talked about, you can track your time, you can assign or allocate your time. So most times, some of the tasks that you start and don't finish is because you are not very objective in your time assignment. If you look at a task, maybe the first time you did it 20 minutes, but averagely it should be done in an hour. Then you should probably still put an hour, because if your brain was functioning in a supersonic speed, at that day you did 20 minutes, you now ascribe 20 minutes, and then on a normal day it's not firing at that rate. It's because your allocation is not appropriate, and it can lead to frustration. The essence of time management is for efficiency and for effectiveness. And if you assign tasks to time and you don't get them completed in a way that it leads to your overall productivity, then in the long run, you are only ticking the boxes, but not being productive. But the essence of this conversation is, how can you be productive while being maintaining your well-being? So it's important to know that the analysis of your time and then the assignment of them are as critical as the result that will come from it. And if you are very objective in doing that, it will go a long way to improve your productivity. So my suggestion would be that post that you are making, where does it rank in your prioritization? Is there anything you can forego for it to happen? And if not, is it something that can wait to much later and all of that? Because sometimes these things could sound very, very important, but if they do not add to your being productive, you would have done a lot. And because you are doing a lot does not mean you are getting a lot done. It's important to note that because you are doing a lot may not mean that you are getting a lot done. So prioritization will help you know where do they rank, and if they rank top, then I need to assign them time. And if it is something that is your work related, as in is based, okay, as a house officer, a young doctor, this must be done, then you have to prepare for it. If you need to find time to prepare and maybe preliminary for it before the next day, you can get that done so that by the time you're coming to the new day, it's just for you to get it out and post. So if you do your prioritization very well, you will be able to find time. In the beginning, prioritization is really challenging, difficult, because you have to let go of so many things. But in communications, that's what we say, less is more in communication. The reason we say less is more is if you put too many information in a slide, it doesn't communicate so much. But if you put less information, it may be able to communicate more than the so many information you put. So if you prioritize properly, the few things you put that are prioritized may make you even more productive and functional. So I don't know if I provided some perspective for you, Livinus.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, somebody put a question here. He said, please, I have a confession to make. I'm so addicted to chess game. It takes a chunk of my time almost on a daily basis. What advice do you have for me? Anyway, I usually believe, in fact, I want to start learning how to play chess because in my space of work, it is believed that people who play chess are great strategists. So because you do a lot of thinking and planning. So if you play chess, spend a lot of time in playing chess, it will mean to me that you are a great strategist, and then you should start strategically planning how you use your time or where you can get extra time from to include to the time you spend on playing chess. So if you remember, I mentioned the foundation is if you have a clear vision, where does playing chess, the number of hours you use to play chess, where does it rank in your overall goal? If it ranks high, then you can continue. If it doesn't rank high, you have to cross-check it against your core value. If you cross-check it against your core value, then there will be a need to apply some level of discipline and consistency. So I can't advise you whether to play or not to play, but I hope I have provided some context.
Thank you so
yes,
much.
Yes, I see another question. Can I answer?
Okay, sir.
Okay, so someone posted that sometimes people do not understand why you manage your time and the way you do. Do you have to educate them? So there are people that you owe them an explanation. There are those you don't. The people you owe them explanations are people who are your bosses, who will be able to evaluate you. You owe them explanation. There are some people who are important to you. You owe them an explanation. But there are people that no matter the explanation you give to them, they will always tag that you are either an ethical or you are overdoing or you are proving that you are more excellent and all of that. But in communications, there are three things we like to do. For some people, you need to educate them. And in the education, there are three things you want them to pass across. One, what you want them to know. They need to know why you do the things you do, how you do them. Two, what you want them to feel. When you are communicating, this is the task I have daily, and this is why I do these things, and I need you to understand this, because this is my long-term goal, and I have taken time to understand that I need to do this to get here. So you have done two things. One, you want what you want them to know, what you want them to feel, and what you want them to do. In every communications, if you're able to address these three important things, then people can have a behavior change. If you don't address these three things, then they may not have a behavior change, and they will still assume that you're either snobbish or you don't pay attention to them, you don't care. But if you're able to communicate, you let them know why you do the things you do, for those who need to know. In communicating that, you need to make them feel something, why you do the things you do, and then there will be a behavior, and there have to be an action. It's either they support you, or they learn not to throw their troubles on you, or they learn to give you all the necessary support you need to get this done. So in communication, if you achieve these three things, then people are likely to, with time, understand that this way is okay, this person does not have a lot of time, so he has really prioritized his or her time. And you explain it one or two times. If after one or twice they don't understand, then apparently you may not be able to convince them, and you can continue to do, because your life is your life, and if you make progress, they will talk about it. If you don't make progress, the same people will come and say, after everything, there's no even result, which is because you probably were trying to accommodate so much, which is not within your power. We'll make rooms for people, but while you try to make sacrifice for people, you should not become the sacrifice.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
sir. Thank you so much, sir,
You're
for
welcome.
the extremely enlightening session. We are so grateful for your time and the value you shared with us. I'm very positive that every single one of us has taken one or two things that we are very, very ready to implement in our day-to-day lives. And for that, we are very grateful, sir. Thank you so much once again.
You're all welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And I'm happy and available to have conversation around this in the coming days. If you need to reach to me to have more questions, you could always, you can get my number from Grace. My number is a public number, so it's available to anyone to reach me. And the slides I have already shared with
Yes, sir.
Grace, so you can be made available. And if you have further questions, you can always reach out to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, Dr. Joseph, for your time. We're really very grateful. It was a master class and we learned a whole lot. Thank you for making it very easy and basic and very straight to the point for us. And in the comment section, please, let's take a moment to appreciate our speaker. Thank you, sir. A lot of the people are saying thank you on the platform. We appreciate you, sir. So the email, Dr. Joseph's number and the slides will be mailed to you after this program alongside the recording of the program. So if you registered before now, your email is on our database and you'll get this email. If you didn't register, we don't have your email. So kindly input your email in the comment section right now, and then the team will take it up and add it to the database for onward transmission of publicity materials to you going forward. And the Starting Strong program happens every month. And so every third Sundays of the month, just mark it. Do a calendar blocking right now for the third Sundays of the month. And previous episodes are already on our YouTube channel that you can have access to. More information will be shared. While you get the recording, it's on that same YouTube that you will see previous versions of the Starting Strong program. We recognize the presence of Dr. Olateju, the VP West of CMDA Nigeria, and also the VP East of CMDA Nigeria, Dr. Ogona. We appreciate all the elders that have joined in with us tonight. We're very grateful. We don't take your presence for granted. Thank you so much. We'll take a few announcements now and do a closing prayer, and that will be it for tonight. Over to you, Dr. Blessed.